G'day folks. Well, I've really been looking forward to making this video. This is the Fang-10 puzzle by 𝙍𝙬𝙗𝙗, and I guess you can see why it's called the Fang. The 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5 down the bottom. It's a die pyramid, and this is probably, I would say at this point, the hardest puzzle that I've attempted and been able to solve. And what I mean by that is I've attempted the bicube, but I can't solve that. I've attempted crazy Uranus tetrahedron, but I can't solve that. This one I can. And the reason that I found this so difficult is because it is a jumbling only puzzle. Now, if you want to see how I got my hands on this and why I've been so fortunate to be able to play with something like this, I'll leave a link up the top and in the description. You can go and watch a video about that. But in this video, I'm going to do a tutorial for this puzzle. Now, I'm fully aware that this puzzle is not available in stores. However, it is on P-Cubes, and I would encourage you to have a look at that. It's free to get P-Cubes. I'll leave a link for that as well. And you can play with this puzzle on P-Cubes. It doesn't look exactly the same, but it functions precisely the same. And so this is a great puzzle, I think, for learning about jumbling in a better sense. And having said that, it's strange because I didn't really think about jumbling while solving it. And you'll find that the methods that I'm using are very simple methods, but they're just applied in different ways. So the way I'm going to structure this video, I imagine it's going to be super long. And I kind of apologize for that, but then again, I kind of don't. And I say this is a really interesting puzzle and it's worthy of a full tutorial and a full video. What I'm going to do is cut away soon to a section where I show all the algorithms that I'm going to use and how I've built them up. Once I've done that, I'm going to start scrambling the puzzle and then take you through the solve. Now, I would strongly encourage you to watch the section on the algorithms. And if you want, and if you do want to try this on P-Cubes, or you've got another way of getting this, or it eventually does get made available, what you can do is just have the same video open in a different tab and use the timings in the description to click to where you want to go. So if I was to say C3, for example, you could just click on that and it'll take you to the C3 algorithm. But as I said, I would encourage you, if you are interested in this, to watch through those algorithms before looking at the solve. So I'm pretty excited about this. It is a fragile-ish sort of puzzle. And what I mean by that is it's a weapon. That's the first thing. If I start turning this straight away, this is sticking out. That's relatively sharp. So I've got to be pretty careful as I'm turning for two reasons. One, I don't want to die. But the second reason is that when you do start, if I line this up and do start turning these things, you'll see this is on its own. And it's not that there's anything wrong with this, but if you turn it by holding the kite instead of by holding the grips here, the center grips, it's potentially going to make things fall out. I don't want to risk that. So it's going to be a little bit longer solve from that reason as well, that it does take time to do the turns properly. That's just the nature of the puzzle. Now, being that I don't have any other information about this puzzle, I had to essentially come up with the piece names and how do I name the faces and what algorithms do I use. So I'm just going to start by saying, well, this is an edge turning puzzle. So it turns here, you can see this red aqua piece just rotates in place. So it's not moving anywhere. So it's an edge turning puzzle. It's got the 10 edges with it. And what are the other pieces called? Well, this is clearly going to be a center. I'm looking at a face here. So that's a center piece. These are my corner pieces. I've got these kites up here, which are in the shape of a kite, so that made sense to call them kites. Now I've got three remaining pieces. I've got these larger pieces, these tiny little pieces around this thing, and of course this thing. So I decided to call the four pieces around this thing the petals. So those little sort of almost isosceles triangles pointing upwards like that, they're called petals. These ones I decided to call triangles. Now, it was the last piece that I was going, what on earth do I call that? I don't want to call it an edge. Now, I was originally calling it an equatorial edge, and I decided that was too long. So I contacted 𝙍𝙀𝙗 and said, what do you call them? And he said, I call them square edges. And I looked at it like that and went, square edges? Oh, okay. And then I looked at it like that and went, yeah, right, square edges. What I decided then is just to shorten that to Sqedges. So that's what I'm going to hopefully remember to call these pieces now is Sqedges. So that's the piece types. Now, you'll see there are two fundamental moves that I'm going to be doing here, and one of them holds the puzzle like this, where I've got an edge pointing straight out at me. The other holds the puzzle like this, where, if you like, I've got a sqedge pointing straight out at me. So if I hold the puzzle like this, I'm looking at faces being left, right, back left, back right, and back. Most of the time, I'm going to use moves that hold the puzzle like this, and so I'm talking about a front, left, right, back left, back right. So have a look at the algorithm section, and as we go through the solve, you'll see what's going on. But I do want to say, it is a difficult puzzle. It is a really, really tricky puzzle, and it is a lot of stuff involved in just placing one piece at a time. You kind of look at it and think, wow, that was 10 minutes work to place one piece. Yeah, well, that's the nature of this puzzle. That's why I'm really excited to present this. I hope, look, I really don't expect anyone to watch the whole thing, but anyone who does, wow, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So hopefully you'll enjoy this just from the sake of what is it like solving a puzzle that only jumbles, that has no normal turns. Okay, I think that's enough preamble. So let me cut away now to the algorithms, and then we'll come back and start the scramble. Well, the first move that I'm going to show is what I'm calling move A, just because I started with A, and this is the simplest thing that I could do really, which is moving 3 of these sort of arrows around. So it's a turn like that, and then it's this turn which intersects, and then it's undo, undo. It's basically an edge piece series where we're just cycling 3 edges. Now that on its own is not super useful, but it's going to be combined with other stuff to make it extremely useful. Now A1 is a move that uses A and it combines it with another move to essentially create a corner piece series. So let's have a look at this. So I start by doing the same sort of thing as A. There's 3 moves. Instead of doing this 4th move, I mean I can, doesn't affect anything, but there's no point. I now come around here and replace this part with another part from that turn. So this is sort of like a down left turn, if you like. Once that's done, I undo this first set of moves. And I undo this move. Now this that I've just shown, which I'm calling A1, is used all through the solve in many, many different scenarios and settings. And it's important to understand what's going on here. So we've got a cycle of pieces. If I look at this blue-green, where has that gone? It's not here, it's way back here. So if I'm holding it like this, this corner is pointing straight out at me, and I've got an edge also in the front. I'm holding it like this, I've got a right and a back right, and a left and a back left. So I've got the back right piece, which is the purple pink, going to the left face. I've got the left piece going to the back left face, and I've got this back left going across to the back right. And that's the first thing, is that it's cycling. The second thing you'll notice is that it's cycling things along the equator. So I'm not involving any pieces up here. They're all along the equator. The third thing is it's not pure. It also involves these petals. Now, of course, the petals and the triangles can interchange. So when I say petals, I mean petals or triangles. Also, the edges and the kites can interchange. So this could quite easily also be used to deal with kites, as we'll see. The last thing to notice is that this piece here has not rotated. So the purple pink was over here. That has stayed exactly the same orientation, this sqedge. The piece that was here, the red orange, has rotated, and that is now, if we look at it, it's rotated anti-clockwise around, as has the petal, but not too concerned with that. the blue-green, which lands back over here, has also rotated, done it in the opposite direction. It's rotated clockwise. And so we have two of those pieces that have rotated or changed orientation. And that may not seem super important, but it is really key to a lot of stuff on this solve. This next move I'm calling A2. It's the last of the moves that really just involve the A turn. And this is going to be used right at the end of the solve to cycle home the Sqedges. The A2 starts out the same as A1. So it does these first three moves like that. And instead of with A1, I move this around here. What I'm going to do now is move the edge and cycle, do sort of an upside down three moves. So cycle this to here, and then this one comes up, and then we return. That's the second part of the sequence. Now I undo what I just did. Now you will see straight away why that is such a beautiful move, is because all it has done is take three Sqedges and cycle them around. So again, if I'm holding it like this, I've got a left face, I've got a back right face, and I've got a back face. And what's happened is the back face piece has moved to the back left face, the back left face has moved to left, and the left has moved to the back. The other really important thing is that they have retained their orientation. So there's been no flipping of these Sqedges. So really useful, and we'll use it at the end of the solve. All right, well, I want to show you now a move that I'm calling move M. And the reason I'm calling it M is I didn't want to call it, it's the second basic move. I didn't want to call it B because that is standing for a back face. I didn't want to call it C because I'm using C to show a whole bunch of moves that involve this move. I didn't want to call it D because that's down face, and I settled on M because what it really is the move. And this is the sort of thing that most people know as just a down, down, up, up. Really the most basic sort of move you can do. And so I decided on M for that. Now it doesn't really matter what you call that because I'm going to be generally combining this with other stuff to do useful things. So that's an M. That has clearly taken a whole arrow really out of there. What we can look at is what happens if we do 3 M's. So I've done one of them. Let me do another 2. Now the reason that is nice is because you can see that it's taken a kite and some triangles out of this position and put them on the equator. That's useful because we can do things when they're on the equator. The other thing is that it has brought the corners and the center back to where they are. If I only did 1 M, yes, I would have this kite out onto the equator, but I've sort of taken away from the required shape of the puzzle with the corners and the centers in position. So that's M3 or M times 3. And this next move is going to be called C1. So I've got C1, C2, C3 and C10, which are the moves that I'm using. And I've called it C. You remember there are a couple of A moves at the start. Well, the C moves involve the A move and the M move. And so the C moves happen a lot. And what a C move is essentially, if I look at C1 and why I've called it C1, it's because I'm going to do a single M move, so M times 1, and then I'm going to do an A move up here. And so when I say an A move, I mean it is okay to do this last move, but there's no need to. So I generally will just do 3 of them. Then I'll undo the M and undo the A part. So that is C1. And you can see that what that does is 3 cycle some petals and also some edges or some sqedges. But most of the time what's important about that is that it will 3-cycle. You can see the blue petal, the purple petal, and the red petal are what's been moved there. That's generally what I'm going to use that for. So that C1 is combined with an M1 and then an A move up the top. Now C2 is what you'd think it would be, is 2 M moves and then an A move up the top. So let's see what happens when we do that. It's the first M move and now the second. Now we can see slightly different stuff's happening here. So I'm going to do the A move and now undo the 2 M moves. And undo the A move. Now coming back here, the key difference straight away that you'll see is that this triangle has moved from a triangle position up to the equator position. So it has also done some stuff with sqedges. So we can see that it's flipped a couple of sqedges in their place, but it's really what's important and interesting is that it has dealt with petals and triangles, and I've got 2 of these things which are in the top layer, so I should say the equator, and I've got one of them which is from here. So that's going to be useful when we need to take something from there up to the equator. In the same way, it's, as you'll understand, going to be very useful if I want to put something from the equator back into position here. Now I showed C1, which was 1 M move. I showed C2, which was 2 M moves, and you'll never guess what the next one is, C3. So I'm not going to go right through to infinity here, but C3 is the last major one, and that involves 3 M moves and then the A move at the top. So there's the first M move. There's the second. And there's our third. And again, a lot of stuff's going on here, but now what we'll do is do the A move and now undo the 3 M moves. And finally, undo the A move. Now when we look again, we'll see that some sqedges have been dealt with, but the other thing that we see this time, if you remember the C, we cast our minds back to C1. C1 involved some petals along the equator, and if you remember, they were all in the upper layer. C2 involved this triangle position, so a piece down the bottom here. C3 doesn't involve them, it involves petals again, but this time I've got 2 of them in the upper layer and I've got 1 in the lower layer here. Now that may not seem overly significant, but what it means is that I can happily move a petal from this position up to the upper layer and then do things with it as I require. So that is why the C3 is also a useful move in the solve. Now the last of the sort of normal C moves that I want to show is C10. You might think, C10, have I gone mad? Not really, because it is unbelievably useful, and I'll make sure I speed up through doing the 10 M moves, but that's what it is. It's 10 M moves and then the A move and then undo, undo. So I just start in exactly the same way. There's one of them. I want to do 10 of them. And now doing the 10th M move. It doesn't look too good here, but what you'll notice is that this sqedge has flipped. Nothing else is happening over here on, if I can get that turning, that's the only piece that's been moved. So now I'm going to do an A move to bring a new piece into there, and I'm going to undo the M10. And undoing the last one here, you can see everything looks to be coming back really nicely. And it is. And now I've got to undo the A move. I'll hold it back here, and it almost seems like nothing's happened, except that very clearly that sqedge there has flipped. If I look around elsewhere, I see that sqedge has flipped as well. So that's why I said this was a super useful algorithm, because it will flip 2 sqedges pure. And that's great. And I'm going to use that at the end of the solve. That is C10. Now the last set of moves are going to be used to solve petals. C1, we know what that is. It's an M move and then an A move. C1 short does this. And by the way, you remember with C1 that the A move was over here on the right. So if I do C1 short, what that means is I'm saying it's shortened M. So I go down, down, up, and that's it for the M move. So that's a shorter M move. I don't bring this back up. What that means is the only place that I can do an A move is over here on the left. So C1 short, okay, I've done a short M. Now I'm going to do the A move on the left, then I'm going to undo my short M. I'm going to undo my A move on the left, and we'll see what happens. Now, you might think, why does that matter? Why is that different? Well, if you remember the C1 move, it did also move around sqedges and petals, but it rotated things. So things were sticking up. Here, as you look around, everything is flat. There's nothing sticking up here. And so that is why that kind of move is going to be good. So that's C1 short. And when we look at the piece movement here, what we're really interested in, because I'm not interested in the sqedges because I'll deal with them at the end. The petals, I've got a petal from the, when I'm holding it like this is really a front, a left, a right, a back right, and a back left. So I've got the back right piece going to the right piece going to the left. So back right to left in that direction. You'll also notice that the back right piece starts on the upper layer, moves to the lower layer. The right piece starts on the lower layer, moves to the upper layer, and the left piece stays on the upper layer. So all of this stuff may seem trivial, but it's going to be really crucial to getting these petals done. Now, I just did C1 short, and C1 short mirror is clearly just going to be the mirror of C1 short. So that means instead of starting here and turning this face down, or this edge, I'm going to turn this one first. So C1, I'll do an M1 short, so I stop there, and then an A move over this side. And then of course just undo. And you can see that this time has cycled pieces back left to left. So that pink purple was over here. So that's the back left face, has gone to the left face, has gone to the right face, exactly as you'd expect with the mirror of C1 short. Now, I mentioned just a few minutes ago C1 star short. Now, the only change that I'm making here is if you think about what an M move is, if I do this M move, I move this down, and the pieces that are interacting are these pieces here. So if I do this, I've got that interaction zone is still there. Now, there is no reason why, instead of going down, down, there's no reason why I can't go down and then do an interaction by moving this part upwards. You can see that still enables this to turn. So instead of going a down, down, up, up, what I'm going to do now for the star, so this is C1 star short, is go down, up, up, like that. Now it's C1 star short, so the star just indicates this is turning in a different direction. It's a short move, so I stop here and I now do the A move over on this side. And now I undo. So to undo the C1 star short or the M1 star short, I do it down, and you clearly see this has to come back like that and then return here. Undo these moves at the top. Let's inspect. Again, I have some Sqedges moving, but I don't care about them. What I have now is there's something going on here, something here, and something here. Why is this different? Why is it useful? Well, again, you'll see that this teal piece has gone, or this aqua piece has gone from the back right to the right to the left. So that's the same movement as before, as with the C1 short. But what's happened is all of the pieces are in the upper right position. So you'll notice I don't have any pieces in that position and I don't have any on the lower layer. So they have remained in their perfect position and just cycled around. Hopefully you can see why that is also going to be useful. And now for the sake of completeness, let's do C1 star short mirror. So this is obviously the mirror of C1 star short. So it's coming from this side rather than this side to begin with. So let's have a look what happens here. We start over here, it's a star, so we move upwards and then undo. Now we do the A turn over this side and then come back and undo. So undo that turn, then this one turns downwards. And once we've undone that A turn, what we'll see is that we have the movement from back left, which was the purple pink, to left to right. And obviously that is the exact mirror of the C1 star short. All right, so that being done, let's have a look at the scramble. The goal of scrambling, I guess, is to make sure that all the pieces are not where they belong. So for example, I would not want a red piece sitting here in that solved position. I don't have a problem with it sitting here if it's rotated, but you get what I'm saying. So I need a way to get the kites out of the kite position and to get these triangles out of the triangle position. If you've watched the algorithms, you would see that they're a very simple way to move things along the equator. So that's fine, but how do I get things out? Well, a couple of moves to get the kites out to the equator. The first thing that I can do is an M3. So the reason that I would do an M3 and not just an M, you can see an M there and the kite is out, but what I want is to retain the basic structure of the puzzle, which is to have a corner here, and a center here. If I don't do that initially, it becomes really difficult to properly scramble it, and I want to properly scramble it. So that's why I'm going to do M3, because the M3 will return the corners and centers to where they belong initially, but it will also put a kite out here. Now you can see that's wiggly, that's not a problem, that's just what they're like. Now, in order to now do something with that, what I could do is to move it out. And to do that, I could use, say, an A1 move. And I think about an A1 move, and it moves back left to back right, or something like that. So I could say, well, this piece is going to be my left piece. And if I hold the puzzle as an A1, I can now get this somewhere else. And the other move there was just that sort of move like that. And then I'll undo. Bring that back. And you'll see, okay, that kite has been definitely moved out of the way and out of position. Now you might then want to say, well, it's still attached to this, so the triangles come out as well. I'm not happy with that. What can I do about that sort of thing? Well, here I could do sort of a C1 type move, or I do an M move to begin, and that M move breaks this apart. And then I'll come over here, do the A move. You can see, all right, that's going to take that kite away, and undo, and I'm not really doing, I'm not trying to solve anything here. I'm just trying to get the puzzle to maintain the shape and structure that I want. So again, because that's not the same shape and structure, I would do that. Now you can see that is separated from that. Now you might be thinking, hang on, am I using algorithms to scramble this thing? Yes, initially, absolutely. That's the, in my opinion, the correct way to do it, because we want to retain this nice shape. The reason for retaining the shape is to be able to continue to do these moves and to continue to get all the pieces out. Now, I'm not going to do all the pieces out, that'll take way too long, but that's an example of what I might do. And what I could do also is do an A move up here, but instead of just doing the 3 moves, I'll do the full 4, and I'm interested in this kite and triangle. And over here, I can turn this face to make another part line up and then undo my A move. And then undo this move. And you'll see that also has taken the kite and the triangle out. And then I can do what I like to separate that if I want. All right, nowhere near finished scrambling yet, but I wanted to show you an example of why this is so difficult to scramble and then to get back into a good structure at the end. I'm going to try and get this little triangle here out. So I'm going to do an A move, first of all. That's fine. Now, to deal with it, I'll turn this around, and that's also fine. That puts a different piece up there, which is exactly what I want. Now I'm going to try and undo the A move. So sometimes this will turn around there, but sometimes it just stops and you have to turn the other way. So I'll go the other way here. Then I've got to make sure everything's lined up. Where is it lined up? I think it's there. No, it's there. Then I'll turn this one. So it's still so far so good. I've got 2 turns to go here. Now as I turn this, that can go down a little bit like that, but then that piece there now hits this blue piece. So I think, oh, sometimes you can go the other way. Sometimes you can come down here. Oh no, that one hits it as well. So I'm a little bit stuck here. I've got a couple of options. I can abandon the move, or I can just try and temporarily move this out the way if it'll go. But because of the nature of where it is, I can't turn anything at the moment to move that blue piece out of the way. So for this one, I'm going to have to say, well, that didn't work. There's a problem with this blue piece. I'll have to abandon, undo the move, have a look where the blue piece is, see if it can be easily dealt with, and then try it again, or try something else. That's the nature of this scramble and solve. All right, well, you can see here that all of the kites and triangles are not where they are supposed to be. So that's a really big major stage of the scramble, believe it or not. What I want to do now, you can see that the corners and the centers are still where they are. Now I want to do things like an M move, but not an M3. So I now want to displace those corners and centers. Now from memory, this will just keep going as long as I want, except if stuff gets blocked. So you can see down here, I want to turn this, but the structural piece there is hitting that green piece. And so after one move, I'm already going, okay, I better not do that. I'll just move over here and try it on this one. And I am going to be turning fairly slowly and gingerly in this stage. And you can see there's a couple of pieces here which just pop out. It's not a huge deal. Just pop them back in. And the reason I'm turning slowly and gingerly is because, firstly, I don't want to accidentally push past something. Secondly, there are so many things sticking out that often what I'll do is put my hand somewhere and then I'll put this hand behind it, and I might accidentally rest it and you can kind of see there's a piece sticking out there. If I accidentally rest it and put too much pressure on that, well, that's not necessarily good. So I've just got to take things really slowly here. So that's the kind of thing I want to do initially, just an M move to displace stuff. So that corner, which should be there, now it's over here. Maybe I'll come back here and try and get this further across. Now I think that is still going to be an issue. Yeah, it is. So what I can also do is turn it upside down and say maybe I'll try going this way. There may be blockage here as well. It looks like there is from that yellow one. What I can try and do sometimes is just turn that so it's out the way, because that should not affect this turning. All I want to do is a single M move, and of course over here, now I'm blocked. Now, is that the same one that I turned? I have a feeling it is. And if it is, I might now need to put this back so that I can turn this around, but it's not going to make any difference because of that. So then the other thing is, I can just move that a little bit further around. There's something blocking that. I don't think so. A little bit stiff, which concerns me, but I think maybe I'll go this way. Or maybe, and this is absolutely normal with this sort of thing, I'll abandon that line of thought. Now I've got to get this back, so I just want to once again move that out of the way and put this back. So it is like, it's simple to do, but you do find yourself trying to do something and just being blocked, and that is, it's just purely because of these kites just sticking out everywhere. So if I can do anything, there we go. It looks like here I can displace some centers and corners, and I've always got to make sure this is lined up properly. That's good. Let's just try turning it upside down. That one looks like it may be a problem. I'm just turning that around. Yeah, it's only just going to be a problem though. That's the slightly frustrating thing. Let's try this one. I've got 3 centers here that might be able to rotate around. There's no blockages. Anyway, this is the sort of thing that I want to do now, and I'm going to keep doing this until lots of these centers and corners are scrambled. Well, here I am back in, and all the pieces are not where they should be, including the centers and the corners. So it's still kind of turnable. And what I want to do now, just to finish off the scramble, and I can't do much of this, I never can, but I just want to turn things and without trying to specifically do an M move. So for example, I just want to turn that and then look for something else down here, maybe which will turn. And sometimes you get a lot of stuff that will continue to turn, but most of the time not. And it just depends on whether I can line these. See, that looks lined up, but as I look down here, that's completely blocked by that thing. So that's not going to work. Possibly that may turn. And I'm looking for something up here which may turn. That's not going to turn. This one. Yeah. And I kind of just keep doing this until things just become silly and I can't do much more. See, a lot of stuff's getting blocked now. And you can see this really truly is a weapon. That will turn. And it gets to the point where I don't know if the thing that I find to turn is the thing that I just turned, if that makes sense. Oh, yeah, maybe, I think, if it doesn't hit anything else. See, that's a huge part of the problem here, is the kite's just all over the place. And look, it's around about here that in my head, a little voice says, haven't you done enough? And I answer it going, yeah, I probably have. It's probably scrambled enough. I mean, all that's going to happen now is I'm just going to get stuck on turning. There's a lot of stuff that can't turn. So I'm going to call that scrambled. Now, look, what a monstrosity. The first step that I want to do here is to get it back to what I'm calling the basic structure. And that is where the edges are oriented, the centers and corners are in, and the kites are flattened. Now, sometimes I've tried to do this by getting the the corners and centers solved first with all these kites sticking up. And it's worked, but it's been quite a long process and very painful to do. What I'm going to try here is getting the kites flattened, or at least most of the kites flattened, before I start doing the centers. So it's, in a sense, it's a little bit out of order because I'm not really trying to solve the kites. I'm just trying to get them into their position. So I'll explain as I go. The first thing that I want to look at is I'm supposed to have 5 things up here, which would indicate 5 oriented edges. You can see that edge is not oriented, so I'll just see if I can turn things. That's good. Looking around here, well, this one needs to be turned. It can't because it's blocked. So I'll check this one. That's blocked by that thing. So maybe this one will turn. I'm not sure if that's turning or if it's blocked by this other one. It looks as though it should turn. Okay, so that one is there. Can I turn this one? Yes, I can, which should bring me back to this one, which should allow me to turn that. And I think that's all the edges. Yeah, and that's the sort of thing. It's not heaps harder than that because you really can't scramble it much more than that. So the edges are oriented and solved because they can't leave their positions. As I said, the next thing that I want to do is start solving some centers and corners and things. But I'm going to try and get the kites so that they're in that position. They're flat in a kite position. I don't care what color they are because it's too difficult trying to put them in the correct position at the moment. Now, the way to get kites into the kite positions is the first thing is we need to have the kite pointing horizontally, either that way or that way, doesn't matter which way. And then we're going to place it into the position directly below. So the question is, how do we rotate a kite like this to make it point horizontally? Well, for this I'm going to use A1. And A1 will cycle a bunch of things. It'll cycle essentially Sqedges and Petals, or kites and triangles, or kites and petals, whatever is in the position from back right to back left. So if I hold it like this, something over on back right to the left position to the back left position. Now the key thing here is that the pieces at left and back left rotate. So let's say that I'm holding it like this and I've got a kite here that I would like to rotate in my left position and another one here that I'd like to rotate in the back left position. That is the holding pattern that I want to carry out this A1. And because I know that will rotate and that will rotate. Now when this rotates, it's going to move to there and then I'll be able to place it in this position. This pink one will rotate to where the purple is and then I'll be able to place it in this position or this position. So that's the general idea. So I've got them set up. What do? Well, the A1, and this again is if I'm allowed to do this with the kite sticking out everywhere. So I can only try. I've firstly got to do an A move, if this will turn, and just be really slow and gentle initially because I don't want to accidentally brush past something like that. Now that is okay. That's not bashing into it. So here's my A turn, the 3 turns of my A move done. Now I do this move down here. I don't know what to call this, but I move that until this is lined up again. And I undo my A move, if I can. Is everything aligned? That goes around like that. Where does it go to? I think there. This comes there. And now undo again if I'm able, which is looking good. And then undo this little move. And what you'll notice here is, well, that's horizontal, that's horizontal. This one here is horizontal. Oh, hang on. Now I haven't, let me just fix up that third turn. That's why so many look horizontal. They're not really. That's better. Okay, so I've got a couple of horizontal ones here. I've managed to get another one, which is even better. So now I can look at this blue piece, and I don't want to put it in there. That's already got a flat kite. So I'll turn it around and I'm going to put it in here. If the kite is pointing to the right, I want to do 3 M moves coming from the right. And I'll go through this properly in the kite section when I solve them, but it's essentially the same. So it's a down, down, up, up. That's 1 M move. As I said, really sort of slow and careful at the moment. Find somewhere to hold the puzzle and sort of keep your grip on it while you're doing this as well. Two turns or 1 turn. Okay, that blue is in, which is great. What else do I have that's horizontal that I can place? How about this red piece? I could put it here or I could put it here. What I might do is put it here to bring this blue one out. Now this is pointing to the left. So this time I come from the left and do 3 M moves. And as I sort of said at the beginning of this section, it might seem a bit strange to be putting kites in a position without solving them, but just trust me, it's going to be significantly quicker in the long run. Now that's that one in. I can put that purple one and go into this position. So essentially what's happening when I do this is I'm swapping 2 pieces here and I'm swapping 2 pieces here. So the only thing that matters for me is this piece and this piece at the moment. So that's pointing to the right. So I'm going to do 3 M moves coming from the right hand side. Why is that not going? It should be going. Something's not quite aligned. So sometimes I just can't turn it. I'll just try and go the other way. That seems to work. And the last one here, which will get this purple one. In position. You might think, great, that purple one's actually solved. No, it's not, because that center does not belong here. That should be a teal center. So fine. What about this green one? How many have I got? 1, 2, 3 up there and 2 down here. So I've got 5 to go. Let's solve the green one. Now, which way was that pointing? Did I actually, I'm just undoing this because I want to check that I am doing the correct M move to solve it. No, I'm not. That's why that looked solved after 1 move, because I'm pointing to the left, so I need to come from the left. And you can see that as I'm putting more and more kites in, it does seem to be becoming a little bit easier. There's just less kites floating around wrecking things, which is what I want. Okay, now I'm at the point where I don't have any horizontal kites where I need them. So I've got to look to rotate. Now, I could, the first thing I could check is if this is in the back right position, where is that going to go? That is going to go to the left position, which is this one, but I already have 2 kites in position there, so I don't really want to move that one around. What about actually, that's back right, that's right, left, yeah. So back right will come here, and I will be able to put it in there. That one will also rotate. However, it'll rotate to a position where they're filled, but can't really do much about that. So I'll do an A1 move here, just to get this horizontal one around to here without changing its orientation. So with the A1, it's the back right which retains its orientation. Right, here we go. Again, we'll assume that this is possible to carry out, but there's far less kites, so I'm quite confident. Okay, that's done. That is now horizontal above there, pointing to the right, so let me put that one in. What is going on? It's always the end. Is that not aligned? Here we go. Okay, this one. Great. This one is horizontal. How many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. I've only got 3 to go. So let's place this one in here and get this one out. Okay, 2 left. They're all done. So the yellow one here can go straight in, pointing to the left. Okay, the last one is sitting up here. Now I've got to work out how to turn that horizontal and get it positioned where I want it, which is actually right above where it needs to go. So I'm going to have to do this in 2 stages. So initially I would say, well, if that is on the left position, it's going to turn horizontal, but it's going to go there. That's going to be tricky to get it back here without rotating it. So what about if I call this on the back left position? Because I know that the back left position will move to back right. And that will then be horizontal, and I should be able to get it back where I need it. So that's what I'm going to do. Hold it on the back left position and do my A move, or my A1, which is that A move followed by this move here, and then undoing. Okay, you can see now that's horizontal. Now, how do I get it around to here? Well, I know that the back right will come to the back left position without rotating. If that's back right, that's back left. No good. What if I turn it upside down? And I get that done. Back right coming to, where's the left? Here. And that is exactly where I need it to be. So that is the go. I now carry out this last A1 to get that over there. Okay, we now have that horizontal exactly above where it needs to go. So finally, place this with an M3. What have I done here? Is that in? No, that's got to go like that. Okay, then there we go. All right, got there in the end. So, as I said, the whole point of getting these kites into those positions is to make it far easier to start placing these centres and corners, which is what I want to do now. Now, ideally, I'd like to be left at the end with, where we're going to be doing this, 3 pieces like this. So sort of a centre position and 2 corner positions that need to cycle home. So that being the case, if I say, well, let's say I want to end up there, I'll start by solving this centre and then I'll just move my way around like this, or I could move my way around like this. So let's have a look at this centre. This is the silver centre, or the grey centre. That's sitting here. And so initially what I would do would be to say, well, I can solve that one by turning it into its position and using this piece as my 3rd piece. So I'm just doing an ordinary 3 cycle here. Now, you'll notice straight away, hang on a minute, you've knocked a kite out. Yes, I have. So what will happen is eventually I'll just do what I can, and eventually if there's too many out, I'll put a few back in so that I can keep doing this easily without being blocked. That's what happens if you've got kites all over the place. You just get blocked everywhere you try and turn. Now, that happens to have solved that one as well. So I think what I might do is take that and say, that being the case, I was going to have these 3 pieces, but what I can do instead is perhaps have these 3. So I'll now go to solve this yellow one, if I can get that dealt with. So to solve the yellow one, I want to cycle it to there. I'm going to set this up initially, perhaps like that. I want to cycle around to there. I'll need another piece to replace it, not the grey, so perhaps we'll try the red. And then turn that around to receive it. Undo, and then I can undo that way, and you can see, good, the yellow one is in. Now did that knock out? I hadn't done that, I had done that one. So I'll keep moving around this way. Green and blue is what I'm looking for next. So here's the green one, and yep, you can see more kites have appeared. I'll try and place this green one by cycling it here. Good. Next one is this blue one. Oh, it's miles away over here. So the first thing I'll do is just 3 cycle, just do an end move to bring it closer. Okay, where does that belong? Here. So if I just turn that initially, I may now be able to 3 cycle it to that position. If that will turn, will that turn? Something's blocking it, but I don't know why. It's certainly turning that way. There we go. Undo, undo, and then I'll turn this back. Yep, and you can see this is coming together so quickly now, far quicker than if I had left those kites sitting there. Next is this orange green, which is over here. So this is kind of where we started. So it's perhaps these three pieces or these three that I'm going to save to the end. It's the orange green. I guess firstly I can move it to there. I always like to hold it this way. Can I move it to there? I'm better off moving it to here first, I think. And it looks like I might be able to place that pink as well. I don't know if that's useful, as in it might get knocked out. Now, something's not aligned. That looks fine. Oh, there we go. Now, what was I doing? Forgotten what I was doing. Pink down there. Ah, here's a bit of a blockage, I think, from a kite. I can try, oh, unless that's where that's supposed to have been. That's possibly what's going on. To be honest, I've forgotten what on earth I was doing. I think I was bringing this corner closer to here. Yeah, okay, closer to there. So let's get it to here, first of all. And I'm still having good success even with these kites here. What you'll notice is that a lot of them are in the center, they're not up here, and that seems to be a good thing. So I can now cycle this one into its position. Now, you'll notice that that's flipped. No problem, we're going to probably have a couple of flipped ones. There's one of them. So I'll just ignore that for now and continue on my merry way. Next we'll do, oh, the red one's in and there's another flipped one. So those two there are definitely flipped. Let's get the orange one solved. Let's see where I'm supposed to be getting to. Probably, by the look of it now, these three are my last three. So I need to get the orange, these three here, and that one. Okay. So first I'll get the orange solved by cycling that one home. It's in. The orange blue corner is sitting here. Now let's see, I'm not sure if this will work, but I'll give it a go. And that's not one of the ones that's my last three. I'll fix that in a tick. That happens from time to time. Cycle that around, undo that. Good. Let's fix this one up. Yep, that's flush. Okay, nearly done. These, that's done. It was going to be these three. So that now leaves me this teal. All right, there's a little bit of a three cycle going on here that I'd like, so I'm going to cycle in that direction. All right, beautiful. Leaving me with what? Three, no, yes, three to go. So the center's going there, that corner's there, this one's across here. Beautiful. Now, all I can do, if you're still wondering, wow, was that really quicker? To assure you is say that when I've done this in the past, getting to that point, if I don't do those kites first, takes about an hour longer, and I'm not exaggerating there. So I don't know why it is, but it definitely works. Now, all my pieces are in. The only thing is I've got a couple of flipped pieces. Now's the time when I need to deal with them. I may find that I have issues with kites. Now I'm going to try and flip them without dealing with these things sticking up, but if I have issues, I'm going to put them down and then flip them. It'd probably be far easier to get them properly placed. As I say, I'll give it a go without it, but who knows. The first thing is to get two pieces flipped. I need them next to each other in the center position. And so what I can do is just initially cycle this one to here. There it is. Now that'll be very, very simple to see where it goes once they are flipped. So I don't sort of need to worry about that. They're the two pieces that need to be flipped. Let's give it a go. What I want to do, I've got three pieces here, and I'm going to do essentially an A move to move these across. This one will land here. I'm then going to sort of turn it around and grab that corner, bring it over to here. So that's two A moves. Then I'm essentially going to put it into position, which will flip it, and then undo everything. That's the plan. So the first thing is do an A move if I'm allowed to by the kites. Here I'm blocked. I'll see if I can go the other way, which I think I should be able to. There we go. And I'll finish that A move. Okay, first A move's done. The corner's over there. Now I want to turn it around, bring the corner over to here. So that requires an A move like this, and you can see there that is blocked. So what I'm going to have to try is initially just turn that off. First move is that. Now here's the problem with the kites. That's in position, but I can't bring it back because that's blocking it. So this is what I thought might happen. So I think what I'm going to do now, what is the piece that's causing the trouble? It's that blue piece with the purple piece. That tells me what I might do is just put that blue piece home before I do this cycle, and I'll see if that enables me to continue the sequence. Now, of course, this is blocked here while I try and do that. Yep, that's blocked. So I've got to move that back. This is blocked. That's blocked. There's one A move. You can see why this blocking is problematic. I'm going to try another one, but instead of, I'll just put that back. That's where it belongs. This is the problem piece. I might attempt to move it right out of the way, something like that, and just see if that changed anything. Let's try another M move. Whoa, that's much better. Two of them. And the last one. Now that's that light blue piece that was in the way. Let's put this one back. And remember what on earth we were doing. We were moving this one now over to here. Let's see if that has changed anything. It may not have. Where's that got to go? Looks like that orange piece may be causing exactly the same issue. It's got to go to there. Now this has got to come around to there. Ooh, maybe we'll be all right. Whoop. Now I don't know what happened then. Sometimes that just happens and it's not a huge deal because it hasn't really busted anything. And just they're very close, they slip past and we're okay. All right, I think I might be good. That is now where I want it. Now, I've now got to cycle this so that it lands where I needed it to land. Now, if we think about what on earth do I mean by that, that just came from this position and it used to be here. But remember that corner was in this position. So I need it back here now. So what I'm going to do is get that corner back into the position it started from. And you'll notice that as I do that, the yellow will resolve. Now this red will not resolve because that's going to be solved later on. I can't remember if that was one of the pieces or not. So for now, I'm going to get this piece back into its position, which was here. If I can actually carry out what's blocking that? Should be nothing. Maybe because it's not lined up. Okay, so I'll see if I can go this way. That's good. That's good, and that's good. Okay, that's solved back into its position, and now I come back here. And it's very clear to see what needs to move over here. That teal's got to go there, the purple's got to go there. So I've got a 3 cycle like that. Again, that's blocking. We'll see if we can go the other way. Oh, that's blocking. Oh, that's going to block. Again, I might be stuck here. I'll put that up there. Does that help? Maybe. I think we might be on a winner here. Now that can't turn there because that is blocking it. So I need to try to get that out of the way first, just so I can turn that. Now I've got one more move of this cycle to go, which is this thing. Okay, that's back in. Let's come back around and have a look what's what. I've got one more cycle to go, I think, or have I successfully dealt with them? I think I've done everything now, because the only thing left is to put back these pieces. So let's cycle back the blue to here, this corner to here, this one over here, just with a simple 3 cycle. It's simple if the kites let me do it. Oh, and you'll see there we did get there in the end. Would have been far, far simpler if no kites were sticking up. However, you can see that all the, I can't remember which ones they were, they might have been those two, were flipped. They are now flat and correctly solved. So that's the end of that first little section, well, not really little, but it's little compared to some others, of dealing with the centers, the corners, and the edges. All right, well that leads us on to the kites. And the really nice thing about the kites is because we had to put them in order to get the centers and corners, they're really simple to do now. We know exactly what to do. The only difference is we are trying to place them into their correct position. So the first obvious one here is this red kite is directly above its center, which we now know are correct centers. So that's all I need. I now pointing to the right, so I'm going to do 3 M's beginning from this right corner to place it. And of course, because there's a lot of kites still up and about, it is still a little bit tricky to grip the puzzle easily. You just got to, I don't know, take your time, I think. Anyway, that red one's in. I would next look to see if there's a horizontal kite. There's an orange horizontal. I need it to be in this position. So now, using the A1, I would say, well, I know that I can move a piece from the back right position to the left position using an A1, and it will retain its orientation. So that's what I need to do here. Hold it like this, and then carry out the A1. Still have to be a little bit careful that there's no blockages. There's that first bit, and undo the A move. Undo that move, and I'm now good to place, and that blue has gone there as well, which is fantastic. That'll be next. Now, I do need to think about, one of these is probably going to come out when I place the orange. I think that blue is going to go there. If I place the blue, I think the orange will go there. I don't think it can be helped, so I'll just place the orange one first. Come on. Just trying to turn this down one turn like that. Now I've lost what I was doing. I've got to go up or down. Where was I? I was going, I think I've got to go down, down. Let's hope this is right. Up, up. Okay, that looks good. Yeah, that blue's vanished over there. It's a little bit frustrating, but you can't really help it. So I'm going to bring it back over to here with an A move now. And as I said when I was doing the kites before, I mean, the more... Did I just do the correct A move? Let me just double check that. No, I did not, because I need to bring that blue over. Let's do it here. The more kites you get in, the less kites there are to disturb the movement as well, which is good. In other words, it gets easier as you go along. Alrighty, that's now above its position. Again, it's pointing to the right. Go. Purple is horizontal. I need to move the purple. Oh, this one's in. And guess what? This one will place, and that purple should go over there. Beautiful. So let's get this one in first. They're all pointing to the right at the moment for some reason. It's totally random. It's not always going to happen. What's happened here? That's in. Let's get the purple in once again, pointing to the right. Don't know why. Alrighty, the green and the light blue are both horizontal, so what's easy? Neither of them are easy to place where they need to be. Yellow has got to come out. If I bring the yellow out, it's going to land here. And yeah, I like the look of that. If I bring this yellow out, it's going to land here. I could then do... Oh no, I can't really do an M3 move to swap them. Okay, I'll just have to take things one at a time. Let's have a look at, for example, this green one. Well, I need to get the green one either to the purple face or to the light blue face in order to be two away from here. So I think I'm going to have to hold it like that. So bring it around now to this light blue teal face using an A move. Okay, and then I can use another A move to bring it around to, where is it? It's on the back right. I'll bring it around to the left now in order to place it. So if it's one face away, you can't really avoid doing two of these moves. Good. Now, once again, pointing to the right. Is there anything that points to the left? I don't know. What have we got now? I've got a grey that's right next to its face, and I've got a light blue that's right next to its face. How annoying. How many do I have to go? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I really don't have a choice. I might as well try and place the light blue because that will at least take out the yellow there. So to place that light blue, I need to first get it 2 away from this face. So I'm going to hold it like this and move it to here, which will be 2 away from its face. So again, another A move. Try the other way. Now this might be a blockage, I'm not sure. That's blocked there. Is it blocked up this way? I don't think that's blocked, although you know what? It could be. I think it is. Okay, abandon that little experiment. Instead of the light blue, let's not try that. Let us deal with the silver or the grey. I'd like to move that. Yeah, I'd like to move that to this position, which will then be 2 away from its face. Let's see if we can do that without issue. Now that, unfortunately, I think is going to twist that light blue around, but we'll just have to deal with that when we deal with it. The grey is now 2 away, so let's do that A move again, A1. Awesome, and that finally is above its position, and you'll never guess it's pointing right. I've never ever had this before where they're all pointing right. I really hope one of them points left. Okay, that one's in. Now, oh, would you look at that? I don't know what I did, but this piece was obviously involved in another A move, and it has magically gone horizontal, and it's right above where it needs to go. Even better, it's pointing to the left. Awesome, so I can now turn this down from the left. Okay, that also brings the yellow out. Is that 2 away? That is 2 away, which is good, because I can now do my last A move for this section, my A1, bring that one around to there and then place it. And I don't have any other blockage issues from kites now, so that's nice as well. Alrighty, so again pointing to the left, so the last one here, doing essentially a clockwise in 3, starting with a clockwise turn. And you can see that all of the kites are now solved in their positions, and that's looking quite a bit better already. All right, well, we now move on to solving the triangles. But just before we do the triangles, we need to carry out a super quick thing, which is to flatten Sqedges. And the thing about that is that we need to flatten them now because the triangles and petals are not going to unflatten Sqedges. So this is what I'm talking about here. This is correctly oriented. The other 4 on here are not. Now, when we solve Sqedges at the end, as long as they're flat, we can do it very easily without disrupting petals and triangles. If they're not flat and I have to rotate them, it will disrupt things. And so that's why I just need to take care of that now. And what I'm going to use for it is an A1. We know that A1 will rotate 2. It runs along an equator, and so A1 will move back right to left to back left. So let's say we're holding it like this. It'll move this piece to this piece to this piece. Now it moves around triangles and petals as well as Sqedges, but I only care about the Sqedges. So the key thing is that the left and the back left face will rotate, which means if I have a couple of these Sqedges on those faces that need to rotate, they will. The one on the right face will not. So what I might try initially is just to say, well, here's 2 that need flattening. What's over here? That one will not flatten. So this one will go here and flatten. This one will come here and flatten. This one will not. So there'll be one here that is still raised. There'll be one here that is still raised. And this one at the back is fine. So that'll leave me 2 that are still raised next to each other, which is perfectly adequate. I can deal with that once this first one's done. So I'm going to carry out an A1. And A1, of course, is the A move, first of all, followed by this simple move to there to put a new one in, and then undo. And undoing this one. Okay, now we see now that we've got 2 here that need flattening, but that one's good, and that one's good. So I just now need one more iteration of my A1 as long as the pieces are in the correct location. So again, if I hold it like this, this is my left face, my left will rotate, my back left will rotate, my back right, which is already flat, will not rotate. And so that should deal with these last 2. I'll just carry out another A1. Alright, pretty quick, pretty simple, and you'll see now that all of my Sqedges are flat. I can now forget about those Sqedges, so it is sort of part of the triangle section, but I can forget about them until the end. Now, the triangles. The triangles are, in a real solve, the longest part of the whole solve. There are 20 of them. I'm treating them as 2 groups of 10. I've got triangles that belong in this down left section and triangles that belong in the down right section. Now, I'm not going to do all of them on camera. What I'm going to do is do maybe 2 of each type, and I'll try and do one where it's relatively simple and another one where it's extremely difficult, so you'll see, okay, what potentially is involved in doing this. Now, these are the pieces I may have mentioned at the start, it's been so long ago, that some pieces take you 10 minutes to do. Potentially, these are those sort of pieces, which is another reason I don't want to do the whole lot on camera. Okay, so let's begin with say, a left triangle. The thing about placing these left triangles is you'll notice that the triangles are not exactly isosceles, but they sort of are. In other words, there's a fairly clear base there. That's the longest side, and I'm calling that the base of the triangle. If I want to place a triangle here, I need the appropriate red triangle that belongs here, 2 faces over on the left in the up left position. So I actually need it holding the puzzle like this on the back left face in the up left position. Now what potentially will happen is that the required triangle, and there's only one triangle that will work in this position, it could be anywhere. It could be this layer up here, it could be rotated. So there's a bunch of stuff we might have to do. So one of the ways I know that this is not the required triangle for the left is that it is rotated, but it is already in the up left position. If I want to rotate a triangle, I'm going to have it in the up right. So I'm going to search for the other red and just see if that's worthy of, that's going to be a fairly difficult one to do. So I might do that after I've done this first one, and I'll just try finding one that's relatively straightforward. And potentially, what about that great? No, I reckon this teal here might be a reasonably straightforward one. So the teal, that teal is going to belong in this left section. Now, it's already on the upper layer. So if I want to put it down here, I need the piece on the upper layer in order to move it to this required position. Now you'll see that it's on the upper layer. However, the base is not pointing to the left and it's in the upright position. Now, that's one of the things we may need to do is rotate the triangle. Now to rotate the triangle, we want to use C1, because what C1 is going to do is it'll move a piece in the front up right position to the right face up left position. And then at least I know it's in the up left position and it'll be pointing the correct way. I can move it to where I need it. So that's the first usage of C1. Let's get this triangle over to here. Remember, as I'm looking at a triangle, I don't care about anything else. It's not going to affect kites. It's not going to affect anything else we've done. So I'll first carry out a C1 to get this triangle rotated over to there. Now that's complete, and you'll see that teal triangle, which was here, the base was sort of pointing upwards. Now it's in the up left position, the base is pointing to the left. Fantastic. Now you remember I said that if it needed to go here, it is required to be in this position. So if I need to get it there, but it's currently here, it means I've got to move it 2 faces across. Now to move it, I'm also going to use C1, because I know that a C1 will move a piece on the right face over to the back left face without changing its orientation. So if I look at this and I say, well, that's currently sitting on the right face, where is it going to go? The back left is here. Okay, so that's not really where I want it to go, because I need it to be on this face, 2 away from here. So if I want it not to change its orientation, the other thing I can do is say, well, let's have this on the back left face, and we'll reverse the C1 movement. Because if I reverse the movement, it's not the right face that will retain its orientation, it's the back left. So normally a C1 will move back left to front to right, and that right piece will travel over here and keep its orientation. If I reverse the movement, it's now going this way, and it's the back left that will retain its orientation. So you'll notice that if it does land here, that is exactly where I need it to be. So this is how I have to think through and go, where do I need the piece before I carry out the routine? So that's now in the correct position, and I want to do a C1 reversed. How do I reverse a C1? Well, instead of the M first, I do the A move first. they're done. I now undo the A move. And undo the M move. And what I'm going to see is that that teal piece has now moved there. It's retained its orientation, so the left, or the base is pointing to the left, and it's 2 over from where it needs to be. Now that it's in the correct position, I'm ready to place it into that position. And to place it, I'm going to use a C2. And the reason for using a C2 is because it does involve a triangle piece as well as 2 pieces on the equator. So a C2 will move this piece, and this is really all that matters for now, this piece down to that position correctly oriented. So C2 means I'm doing an M2 first. So 2 of these M moves. Then I'm doing the A move. Now undoing the 2 M moves. And undoing the A moves. When we come back here and have a look, we will see that that teal piece has been successfully placed. Now, I said that was going to be a fairly straightforward one, and it really was. I mean, the only way you could get more straightforward than that was if the piece is kind of perhaps already rotated, maybe even in position. So that's cool. What about a really tricky one? So I did mention that red one before, and I'm pretty sure this red one is going to be a good one to do. Where's the other red piece? Oh, that's right. It was this one here, and I was saying that is not the correct piece. So absolutely, let's do this red one. Now, you'll notice that at the moment, the red one is well, not in an equator. It's in one of these extremities, and I need it out of there in order that I can place it. The red face is here, so I need it on the upper equator somewhere. Well, to get it out, I'm firstly going to have to turn this around. This happens to be in the right hand triangle position. Now, you understand that if I wanted to place the left one, I need the piece over here in order to place a piece into there. In the same way, if I wanted to take a piece out from here and get it up to the up face, I still need to carry out a C2. Well, what if it's in the right face? Well, that is going to be a C2 mirror. So in this case, I need to get this red piece out. It's on the right hand side. I need a C2 mirror. Now, I don't care what's over here. That's where I would normally be placing a piece. All I care about is getting this one out. So firstly, carry out a C2 mirror. So 2 M moves, first of all. I'll put that back in a minute. Having a little bit of trouble with that at the moment. I don't know why. Okay, and then the A move. And then I'm going to undo my 2 M moves. Goodness me. And undo the A moves, or the A move. Now, I can't even remember where I was on. Perhaps the red one was here. Okay, so not sure, maybe it was somewhere else, but what has happened is that that red piece, you remember the original red piece that we had that I was looking at was this one. I said that was not the correct one. So the other red piece has now gone up to this upper layer. However, you'll notice now that the upper layer, really, because the red face is here, the red piece that came out of there has now landed on the same layer. That's no good. I now need to move that from the lower layer of the equator to the upper layer of the equator. Okay, so remember I said this would be a tough one. So this is going to have everything that we're going to encounter, I think. Now it's on the lower part of the equator. So to move it to the upper part, I'm going to need to use a C3 or a C3 mirror. And I tell by looking at whether it's in the left or the right position. This one happens to be in the down left position. And so I'm going to need to use a C3. That will move this piece to the upper layer here, relative to its red center. So I need to carry out now a C3. Again, I don't care about anything else apart from getting that red piece to the other layer. So C3 means 3 M turns. Then the A turn. And then undoing those 3 M turns. Just got to slightly maybe align something here. Maybe that one. Come on. Here we go. I don't know how many I've undone, but probably only one of them. You can kind of see it still is pretty difficult to just grip the puzzle when there's these kites everywhere. Okay, that's undone, and now finally undo the A. Let's see what's happened. I said there was a red piece that was somewhere or other. That red piece has now landed here. Now, why is that important? Because the red center is here. I need the appropriate down left red piece to be on the upper layer, and I need it to be in the up left position correctly oriented. Now you can see here that it just happens to have landed in an up left position correctly oriented. Now if it wasn't, I would need to rotate it using C1, just like I showed before with the other piece. Here, I don't need to rotate that. All I need to do is now think, how do I get that piece over to here? Because that's the required position before I place it. So once again, I would say, well, if it's in the right position, it's going to go to back left. That's not really where I want it. So I would then say, what about if it's in the back left position? And I reverse the C1. Well, it will land here, which is where I need it to land. So again, I'm going to have to reverse my C1 to move it over there. Reversing a C1 just means doing the A turn first. This is beyond understanding. I really don't know why this is happening. It hasn't been happening before. I swear I'm pushing them down. I can't super glue them down because clearly that's the screw access there. So I'm not sure what is going on. I'm just going to try and get that properly seated there. Okay. Now, where were we? That red piece now, having finished that routine, is 2 spots over, or 2 faces over from where it needs to be. So I'm now ready to place it into that position with a C2. There's 2 M moves, and now the A move. course now undo as M moves. And undo the A move. All right, and again, you can see that red piece has gone exactly into position, has not affected the teal piece we already did. That's the general plan. You can see why this takes so long. There's 10 of them on the left-hand side and then 10 of them on the right. So I've showed an easier one and a harder one for the left. I now want to do exactly the same for the right. So I want to find perhaps an easy-ish piece for the right. Let's see, no, the yellow, there's the yellow. Oh, okay, here we go. So this piece here, everything's the mirror on the right. So instead of wanting the triangle to be pointing to the left in the up left position, the base pointing to the left, like that grey one, I want it to be pointing to the right, the base pointing to the right in the upright position, like that yellow one. And of course, this is in the upper position relative to where it belongs. So this one is already correctly oriented. All I need to do now is move it to this position. It's now got to be 2 spaces over, or 2 faces over on the right in the up left position. So I think, how do I move it to that position? Well, I can only really move it and retain orientation 2 faces at a time. So I know that C1 mirror will, instead of having the right face retain orientation, everything's reversed or mirrored, so it's having the left face retain orientation. So I'd begin by saying, if I called this the left face, it's going to go to the back right face. The back right face is over here. Now, is that helpful to me? I've got to think, where do I need this thing? It would land there. Now, I really need it over on the blue. What would happen if I then did another one and called this the left face to go to the back right? That's where it would land. So this now tells me, right, that's what I need to do. I need to say that that yellow piece is on the left face. It's going to first move to this back right. Then I'm going to repeat the thing to get it moved around to here, which is where I need it. So to move it across here without changing its orientation, I carry out a C1 mirror. Here's the M part. Here's the A part. And undo the C1 mirror, or undo the M. Why that's not going, we'll turn it the other way. I think that looks good, corners look good. It's a little bit tricky to keep your bearings when you have to turn the edge in the opposite direction to what you really want it to turn. And occasionally that happens. I can't work out why. Sometimes there's no blocks, it just won't turn like that. Anyway, what has that done? I think the piece was there, or I don't know where it is, but it's now moved across to here. Now I said that if we repeated this, if I now call this my left face and move it to the back right, that is exactly where I need it to be. You can see that's 2 faces away from here. So that's what I now do. Do another C1 mirror. Again, it's just blocking there, and I'm not exactly sure why. There we go. Okay, that's done. This is where I want it. You can see now it is successfully over there. 2 faces away on the right, The base is pointing to the right and it's in the upright position. So now I can place that piece, and remember this is an example of an easier version, into this downright position using a C2 mirror. So the only difference here is I'm doing 2 M mirror moves before the A move. That's the M2. Let's do the A. And undo. Okay, that's just got to come up there. There we go. Alrighty, and that yellow piece is now in that downright position. So I said I'd do an easier one and a harder one, so I'm now going to look for a more difficult version, something that involves a little bit more. And of course, what I also am going to do is undo that A move. There you go. Alright, what about, now this, it's possibly one, just bear with me while I have a look and see what I can see. It's going to be the left, so that one's going to be the right. Okay, I'm pretty sure here that this pink will be the appropriate piece that goes into the right position. And the reason that I think that is because this other one that's up here is in the upright position, but it's rotated. So when I rotate that, it'll land in the up left. So I'm pretty sure that's not the one. This is the one that I want to deal with. Now, it's not down here or up here or anywhere. It's on the equator, but it's on the other side of the equator. So how do I move it from a lower layer to an upper layer? Well, to do that, I need to do a C3 or a C3 mirror, depending on if it's here or here. Now this time the piece is at front down right, so that requires a C3 mirror to move it to this layer. So, as I said, it's all the same as the left hand side, it's just everything's mirrored. There's my M3 done. Okay, there's the A. Now we're going to undo the M3. Okay, oh, now hang on a minute, let me just undo that because I've just realised I did not do all of this. So I think this, must have done 2 of them, but not the third one, so I must complete that before undoing the A move. That should now be good. All right. So that being done, I can't even remember which piece it was. I think that was the wrong pink. I think it must have been this pink. And you can see, right, that pink is now correctly in its upright position. So the base is pointing to the right. It's in the upright position. That's fantastic. The only thing is I need to now put it in the correct place before I place it. The correct place is here on that blue face. So I've got to, again, retain the orientation, but get it to this blue face. So to do that, I want to use a C1 mirror. And I know with the C1 mirror that if it's on the left face, it will go here and retain its orientation. So I'll check firstly. The first thing, it would land on the yellow, and then if I called the yellow the left face, it would land on the teal. Well, that's no good because I want it to land on the yellow. I mean, I could go to the teal and do it again. I could do 3 of these and have it land on the blue. Alternatively, I could say, right, I'm not going to call this the left face. I'm going to call this the back right face and reverse my C1 mirror. If I reverse my C1 mirror, it goes firstly to here, and I do that again with the purple. I reverse it, it comes to the blue face, which is where I want it. So that seems to be the best thing to do. So I'm start with this on the back right face and do a reversed C1 mirror. So the reversing just means that the A move happens first. Okay, that pink piece that I need, which is this one here, is now on the purple face. So once again, I call that back right, and I'm going to reverse the C1 mirror and put it on the blue face. What have I just done stupidly there? I think just not. Okay, that's better. Now the pink is on the blue face. It is pointing in the correct direction. It's the upright position, and it's 2 away from here where it belongs. And so I'm now finally ready to place it with a C2 mirror. M2 mirror first. There we go. Now the A move. And of course now undo everything. And you can see that that pink piece there has successfully travelled from here down into its position. Also important, none of the other pieces that we've already done get touched. Now hopefully you can see really clearly there why I'm not going to do the whole lot on camera, but I've shown a couple of examples of the left pieces, a couple of examples of the right. That's what's got to be done before moving on to the petals. And I'm going to do the rest off camera, and I will cut back in when they are all done. Now the Sqedges we're going to leave till the end, and they're pretty quick and simple, which is nice after this solve. It's the petals that we're going to deal with now. And I'm going to take them into, there are really 4 orbits, but there's 2 corresponding orbits if you like. So if we think about the petals in the up left position, so I've got up left, up right, down left, down right. Up left is there, there, all the way around. So I've got 5 petals there. Well, the corresponding orbit is this down right position here. And I've got 5 there, then I've got 5 in this position and 5 in this position. That's the 20 petals that I've got. So I'm going to take them 1 orbit at a time. And the very first thing that I do need to do before I start cycling and solving the petals is to flatten them. So you'll notice at the moment that there are some that are sticking up. Not sure how well the light shows that, but this these three are flattened, that one is sticking up. Over here, that one there is flat, these three are sticking up. So I need to get all of them flattened. And the way that I'm going to flatten them is as much as possible to use C1. And if I have to, I'll use C3. So casting our minds back to C1, we remember that it's almost the most common move we've been using. And we know that the back left and the front will rotate. So we've got movement going from back left to front to right. Now, specifically, this is where some of those intricacies come into it. It's the back left up left position, then it is the front up right position, and then the right up left position. So they are the three that we're interested in. So the first thing I would do would say, I'll find one in the up left position and just try calling that back left. So that's over here on the back left. The next thing that is going to be involved is the front up right position. The last thing is this right up left position. Now remember that the back left and the front are the ones that rotate. They are both upright. So that tells me that that piece will come over here and flatten. This piece, which is upright, will move to there and flatten. But this piece, which is already flat, on the right face, will travel back to here and it will not change its orientation. So that will remain flat. And that means that out of these three pieces, I've got two that are upright. Both of them will be flattened. That's perfect. That's what I want. So once I've identified a good set of pieces to use, I will carry out the C1. You might be thinking, isn't this going to affect other kites and triangles and stuff? Well, no, because the thing that we did, what we've been using C1 for so far is kites and triangles, specifically triangles, but they are all solved now. So the only thing it will affect is things that are sitting on the equator. And the things on the equator are the petals. That's why I like these sequences, because they can just be applied to different pieces as we need. So that's the C1 that was carried out. Now, if we look at what's happened, I'm pretty sure this was the front face. There's the back left. There's that green piece that is now flat on that face. The piece that was there has traveled to here. That is also flat. And the piece that was here has traveled across to here. That is also flat. That's fantastic. That's the sort of thing I'm trying to do. So I would next look and say, well, I've got an upright position here. I don't really have a piece in this position, the back left position, which needs to be flattened. And so if I did this at the moment, what would happen is this would raise, this would flatten, this would stay flattened. I would not achieve anything. I would still have one raised piece. So at the moment, since that's the only piece, well, it's not the only piece, but I've got two here, I've got a couple of options. I can ignore them, or I can consider, could I get this done using the C1 mirror? Because the same thing will happen on the mirror. So let's have a look. If this was back left, that will come around and flatten, and it will go to the front position. Sorry, this was back right, I should say. This will go to the front position, up left. Oh, that's already flat. And then it will go to the left position, up right. Well, that's kind of the opposite to what I want. So then I'd say, what if I try this one at back right? Let's see if that works. Back right will come around to this position and flatten. And no, so that's not going to work either. So for now, I will ignore that, turn it upside down and see what I can do on the other side. So I've got three in a row here that need to be flattened. Let's see if we can make this work. And I don't think I've got any in the, oh, I've got one there. That's a bit of a shame. The only one there that is raised in the upright position does not correspond to this, which is in the back left. So having it like this would not achieve anything. Let's just see if I can get any valuable stuff done here. If that's back left, no, that's not going to achieve a thing. That also isn't. And the last one, I think I already checked this. No, none of them will. So at the moment, I'm kind of a bit hamstrung. So this is where I've got to use C3. I've got to have a look at C3 and see, all right, Well, the reason for C3 is because it involves pieces, 2 pieces on the upper layer, but also a piece on the lower layer. Now, interestingly, the 2 pieces on the upper layer that are the back left and the right are exactly the same pieces involved in C3. The difference is that instead of having this front up right piece involved, I've got a front down left piece involved. So what I want to find now is a piece that is raised on an up left position, and then on the front face, a piece that's raised in the front down left position. And so far so good. That one's raised, and this one, the third one, is flat. That is an ideal setup. That will get me these 2 pieces flattened, and this will remain flat. So I've identified those pieces. Now I need to carry out the C3. And let's just, before I do this, we'll just count up so we can show that we've definitely flattened 2 of them. 1, 2, they're all flat. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 pieces we've got. So we should have 4 at the end of this. If I can make the first turn. Okay, there's 1 end move. Okay, there's my 3 M moves. I'll now do the A move. And undo everything. It's 2 M moves undone. You can see the blue has come back really nicely. Okay, that's them, and undoing the A move. Let's come back and have a look. You remember that this was the front face. I had a sticking up piece there, that's now flat. I had a sticking up piece here, that's now flat, and the other one was here, which is also still flat. So if I count them now, I've got 1, they're all flat, 2, 3, 4, there we go. So that's the sort of thing I'm doing. So the next thing, I'll see what's going on this upper layer. I've got a piece, so that's not going to be good for a C1. What if this is back left? That's back left, I'd like that to be raised, but it's not. What about this one? If that's back left, I want this to be raised, and it is. This is perfect. So this is back left, this one's the front down left, and this is the right face up left. So this indicates, because this is on the lower layer, I again need to do a C3 to flatten these 2. Happening here, should be moving. Okay, that should leave me 2 to flatten. There's one, they're done, they're done, they're done, two. Now, it would be nice if these were in a lovely configuration, but as usual, they're not. So the next thing I want to think about, you remember that if this is the, let's think about a C1 here. If this is the front upright, it's the back left position that is also involved. So that position, this position, and this position. Now what I really wanted was this to be raised, which it is, this to be raised, and this to be flattened. Now I've instead got the other thing. I've got that flattened, but this raised. Now remember that if I do a C1, this one, if it was raised, it would flatten, and this one would flatten. But this one here would remain. It would keep its orientation. So what would happen if I reverse a C1? Well, the reverse would happen. This would be going this way now. This one would flatten, this one would flatten, and this one instead would retain its orientation as it came around to here. So that's what I now need to do, a reverse C1. So that just means instead of doing the M move first, I'll do the A move first. This face here. Just going to align that if I can. I think that was the issue. Now, all being well, let's check what's happened. I should find that all my pieces are flat. They're all flat, 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 flat. Lovely. So that's the general technique. I've never found that I need to cycle pieces to put them in the places that I need them to be. It's always a combination of C1, C3, and the mirrors and the reverses, that sort of thing. So that is the flattening of the petals. It's really important because what's going to happen now is we're going to look at the petals in the orbits I said, we're going to cycle them around, and these sequences from now on will retain the orientation of the petals. And that's why I needed to flatten them first. I didn't want to have to deal with flattening pieces at the end once they were in their position. We now move to solving the pieces. I'm going to start with an arbitrary first up left orbit here. Now, for this section, I'm going to be using the algorithms C1 short, C1 star short, and their mirrors. So these were covered back in the algorithm section. Very simple, very similar to C1, and you'll see exactly how they work. Now, the first thing is, if that's my arbitrary up left orbit, I'm looking for the 5 pieces that belong in this orbit. So I need a light blue, an orange, a green, a grey, and a pink. Let's see what I've got. I've got the pink, I've got the grey, I've got the orange, I've got the light blue. What I don't have is, from memory, the green. I've got a red instead. Okay, so I need to get a green up into this orbit, and I need to lose the red. So the way that I'm going to do that is to, in order to get all the 5 correct pieces up, I'm going to use C1 short mirror. Now, C1 short will move a piece from the lower layer down left position to the upper layer. C1 short mirror will move a piece from the lower layer down right position to the upper layer. So I've got to find that green piece, and there should be, and this has happened every single time, so I'm going to assume it always happens, there should be the required piece, which is a dark green, in the lower layer down right position. So once I've identified that piece, that's the one that I want to move to the upper layer. I'm going to hold that on the left face, because the sequence here is going to be back left, up left, to left, down right, to right, up left. That's the sequence I'm looking for. Now, you can see that that green piece is going to come up to here, which is where I want it to be. there is also a piece that's going to go from the upper layer to this lower layer to replace the green piece. So because of the nature of the cycle, the piece that comes here is the back left piece. The piece on the back left in the up left position. Now you'll see that that is the red piece we do not want, which means I don't have to do any cycling to get it into that position. I'm sure I will have to do cycling later for some other orbit, but for this orbit, that is exactly where I need that red piece to be. So I now know that the movement's going to be that red piece will drop down to this lower layer. This green piece that I want will come up to this layer, and the orange piece will go over to here. So as always, the most time-consuming part of these things is setting up and understanding what pieces are going where and getting things into position. Now that I've got those things into position, because I'm doing an up-left orbit, this is always going to be the mirrors. So with the up-left orbits, it's going to be the mirrors. With the up-right orbits, it's going to be the normal. So to get the piece, I now need to use C1 short mirror. I've got the piece on the left face, got the other pieces in position, I now carry that out. So what's C1 short mirror? Well, the first thing is it's the mirror, so it's starting here. Let's have a look. The short means instead of going down, down, up, I stop. I don't do that last up move. So that's the shortened form of the M. Now you can see clearly that the only possible place I can do an A move is now over here. So normally with the mirror, this would come up and I'd do an A move over here. But because I'm using the shortened form, I'm now going to do my A move on this side. And as usual, I then undo my shortened M move. So down, down, up. That is undone. And now undo the A move. Now let's have a look at what's happened. You'll notice that there is now a dark green piece sitting in that position. That came from here. And that red piece, which was on the back left position, came from here. That orange piece used to be sitting over there. So that has cycled those pieces exactly as I need them. And if I look at this up left orbit now, I've got pink, grey, green, light blue, orange. Pink, grey, green, light blue, orange. Perfect. So every piece that I need in that orbit is now in that orbit. So that's the first little part of it, getting all the right pieces up there. The second part is cycling them home. To cycle them home, I'm going to use C1 star short mirror. Now, again, the whole star thing's back in the algorithm section, but I'll take you through it here. So what I need to do with C1 star short mirror, I've got all the pieces are in the up left position. So that's the really nice thing about this. They will cycle in that same position. Nothing else is going to be involved. And the piece movement, again, is back left to right. So it's the same piece movement as the sequence we just used. Now you might have noticed through this solve that I'm always doing things that are two faces away. And one of the reasons for that, or the main reason for that, is if you think about when I do an A move, in order to get this sort of flat again, I can't just do that and put a piece there like that. It won't work. I need to do something like this, which will make this sit flat and have all the pieces that I need there and be able to continue the algorithm. Now, where does that come from? That has come from two faces away. That's why we always have, you know, sort of a left to a right, or a back right to a front, or something like that. They're always two pieces. So in this case, I've got a back left going to a left to a right. Now you can see that I've already got one piece in. That green piece is in. So what I need now is to try and get a second piece solved that is either on the pink face or the light blue face. So I would look here and say, I would just start by going, well, if I hold it like this, this is back left. what is my cycle going to be? Light blue will go to here, orange will go to here, grey will go to here. Now you will notice straight away that if I do that, the orange will solve and the grey will solve, which will give me a solved orange, green, grey. 3 solved and 2 unsolved. Now because I'm dealing with 3 cycles, that instantly tells me I am not going to be able to solve this orbit at this time. I'm going to be left with a swap, which is fine because I've got to deal with that as well. So there's nothing else that I need to try and get a 3 cycle done. It will not happen. And I'll just demonstrate that by turning it around and saying, all right, what if this is back left to right? Well, the orange won't solve, the pink won't solve, the green will come out. What about this one? Pink to grey to light blue. Well, the pink won't solve, the grey will, and the light blue will. So once again, I will have 3 solved pieces. So I can't avoid it. So it actually doesn't matter which 3 I get done. So I'm going to start with the initial one that I had. This is back left, this is left, this is right. So let's now carry out the C1 star short mirror. So it's the mirror, so it starts from this side. Here we go. It's the shortened version, so there's only 3 moves, but here's the star. We go down. Instead of going down, we go up. And you can see that we still have an interaction here. It's a different interaction, but it is perfectly valid. Again, if you want to see more about this, go have a look at this in the algorithm section. So that is the star part. That's the N move. I now carry out the A move. And then undo everything. So it's down. And then instead of whatever it was, I've got to turn this back into place. So that's very easy to see. Undo this. Undo my A move. Let's inspect. That's solved, that's solved, that's solved. You can see here that I've ended up with a very clear swap of pieces in that orbit. So that's it for that orbit for now. I now turn it upside down and do the corresponding orbit, which now becomes up left. So this orbit up here used to be down right. Now let's have a look at the colours of the pieces. Red, yellow, teal, purple, blue. Red, yellow, teal, purple, blue. Once I have done one orbit, the pieces in the corresponding orbit will automatically be done. So I've found that these pieces don't cross over, and that's why I'm referring to these things as orbits. I don't know if that's an entirely precisely correct term, but it's good enough for me at the moment. So that means with this second orbit, which is corresponding here, I just need to place the pieces. Now I'm pretty sure what I'm going to find is that there'll be a swap of pieces on this orbit as well. But let's have a see. I won't guarantee that at this point. What I want to do is try and find a piece on the back left that will cycle to the left, because none of these are done at the moment. So let's hold it like this. That back left piece is a yellow. That'll cycle to the left position. That teal piece will cycle over here. And the blue piece will cycle here. Okay, that's fine. That'll place one of my pieces. Let's do that. So again, to place the pieces, it's C1 star short mirror. So instead of a down, it's now an up. Now the A move. And now we undo. I think I should have got one piece placed there, so that yellow is placed, the rest are not. So again, what I would normally be doing is trying to see if I could get either the red or the teal placed. Let's see what will happen here. If I call this the back left, I've got purple to teal to blue, and that would give me a blue next to the yellow. Well, that's possibly okay. What else would happen? Teal to red to yellow. I don't really want to involve the yellow. Red to blue blue goes over here, purple goes over to here. In that case, I would again have, in fact, I would have these two that are solved next to each other. Is there any other option? There probably isn't, because this is going to involve the yellow face. So it doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to end up with two solved next to each other. So I can't really help that, so I'm going to do it. I'll do the teal to, oh no, I'm not going to do that one because it's going to involve that. What was the other one? Purple to teal to blue. The blue will come over here and solve that one. So this is the one I'll do, back left, left to right. Okay, so I'm going to cycle these pieces around, again using C1 star short mirror. Okay, I think I should find I've got that solved and that solved. What does that leave me? Teal to red to purple. Now, so I do have a 3 cycle here. And what I want to say is I said initially that I thought there'd be a swap of 2 on this orbit as well. There's a swap of 2 down here. I thought there'd be a swap of 2 here, but it's not guaranteed. So I'm definitely going to have another orbit that'll have a swap of 2 pieces, but it's clearly not going to be this orbit. So what that tells me now is that I've got to try and do another one here to get a 3 cycle where they're 2 apart, where the 2 solved are 2 apart. So let's just again have a look. Red to teal to blue, that's not helping. Teal to yellow to purple. Now that purple will solve, and it may be that I've got to get a different one solved in order to make this happen. So I'll just keep that in mind. That's taking all of them out. Yeah, it looks like whatever I do, the purple one is the one that's going to solve. I think I better try that. So I'm going to do purple, or this teal color, to the yellow to the purple over here. Clearly, I've got 2 solved, I've got a 3 cycle, but I can't cycle these home because I need a gap of 2. Remember, I've got back left to right. So there's got to be a gap of 2 somewhere. So that's why I'm now trying to look at resolving to get the purple one done and see if that makes a difference. Okay, so let's solve that. C1 star short mirror. Okay, I should just have the purple. Oh, I've got the blue one as well. Hey, look at that. That's exactly what I need. I've got the purple one done and the blue one done, which are 2 apart, which means the remaining 3 have to have a gap of 2 somewhere. So if I look at it like this, I've got back left, left, right as the 3 that need to be solved. Now, in this case, I've got the yellow, I've got them going in the wrong direction. So if I reverse it, I've got teal going to here, red going to here, yellow going to here. So I've got a couple of options. I can carry out this routine twice, or I can just do it reversed. Now, it seems to me that it will be just as easy to do it reversed. So instead of the piece movement going like that, the piece movement is going to go backwards. So how do I reverse this? I do the A move first, as with all the other sequences that I've reversed. There's the A move. Now I come over here and I do the C1 star mirror. And now I'm going to undo A move and undo the C1 star mirror. Now, when we look around at this up left layer, that is solved, that's solved, that's solved, that's solved, and that's solved. Fantastic. So that up left layer is solved. If we come back to this other one, we still have those two swaps. So as I said, it's possible to get a double swap of pieces in the same corresponding orbits, or it's possible to get them in the opposite orbits, which is what's going to happen here. Now I'm still debating, I might even set up for a swap of pieces in these corresponding orbits because it's easier to solve, but it's a different method. So what I would do now, those up left type orbit ones are dealt with as far as I can at the moment. Now I need to deal with the up right. So these two orbits here, I've got to do the same thing, but instead of doing the mirrors, I'm just doing the normal. So it's going to be C1 short to move pieces from lower to upper, and it's going to be C1 star short to cycle them home. Let's have a look at this one first. I've got red, dark blue, orange, teal, purple. Oh my goodness, the only one there is the orange. And that means of this orbit up here, 4 of the pieces don't belong. So I'm going to have to do 4 lots of a C1 short to get the correct pieces up. I'm pretty sure it's going to be 4. So I'll do the same thing as I did before. I locate the piece that belongs up here, which is this green piece, and because I'm doing C1 short, it needs to be in the down left position. That's what's going to move to the upper layer. This time I want to hold it on the right face. I'm going to do a cycle which moves this right piece to the left position here. Okay, that's fine, but what is coming to replace this? The back right. So the only thing I want to check is that what's going to replace it is not something that I want to remain up there. Now clearly that red is not something that I want to remain up there, so that's fine. So I've got the pieces set up, and I now do a C1 short. Okay, so I've got a green, oh hang on, that's the other orbit. I've got the green. I've also got the orange. So I've got 2 up here now. Let's have a look. Let's find another piece down the bottom here that needs to go to the top. And it'll be this grey piece, for example, needs to go up to the top layer. So I'll hold it on the right face. The only thing I really need to check is what is coming from the back right. In this case, it's the purple. That's also fantastic because that purple needs to be down on this layer. So that's great. So I've got the pieces in position. I can again carry out a C1 short. Coolio. That should be 3 pieces in this up right position layer. I've got the green, the grey, and the orange. Okay, I still need a pink and an orange piece. So let's locate a pink or an orange down the bottom here. There's a pink piece. That one, oh no, I've got the orange, it's pink and something else. I've got the pink though, that definitely needs to go up the top. Hold it on the right face. Let's just check what is coming from here. Now, this time I've got a piece that is in that position that I do not want to go down to the bottom. So a couple of options. I can check what is on the other face, and the other face that is involved is the left face. So normally this would cycle green to pink to dark blue. If I reverse it, the dark blue will drop down to the bottom. So do I need the dark blue up the top? No, I don't. So that means that's fine. I can reverse this and get the dark blue down here and the pink up to there. So how do I reverse stuff? I do the A move first. So it's a C1 short, so it's the A move is going to be over here. So I'll do that A move first. Then I do my C1 short, or my M short. And now undo. Now, all being well, I should find there's only one piece in this upright orbit that does not belong. So I've got orange, grey, pink, teal, dark green. Orange, grey, pink, not teal, dark green. Okay, so it's the teal piece that does not belong, and what I need there is a light blue. So I go and look for the light blue. It's here. Hold that on the right face, and now you'll see that I absolutely need the teal to be here or else here. And look at that, that teal piece is in that left face exactly where I need it. So once again, this means that I can do a C1 short, but just reversed. So that's what I'll do. Okay, now green, orange, light blue, pink, grey. Green, orange, light blue, pink, grey. Lovely. So I now know that all the correct pieces are in this upright orbit and they're in the corresponding orbit down here. So let's attempt to solve now these pieces. You can see the grey is already done. So I'd like to get the light blue or the orange solved if I can. This time, because it's C1 short, the piece movement is going back right to left. Let's see what would happen. The orange would go there and not solve. The green would go there and solve. The pink would go there. So that's going to put a piece next to the grey, not ideal. Let's try another one. Blue, light blue to there, that'd solve. Orange to there would knock out the grey. So that would just put a different piece in that is solved. That may be what I need to do. I'll see. Pink, no. Blue, no. Green, yes. Again, that green is next to the grey, so I don't think I want that. That's going to unsolve. No, no. And the last option, no. So I think what I need here, I think I'm going to end up in the same situation as last time where I had nothing I could do except having two next to each other or three next to each other, and then I had to unsolve. So what I'm going to do is change the solved piece from a grey solve to something else. So I think I'll change it from the grey to the light blue. So the light blue will come here, the orange will go there, the grey will go there. So I've got my pieces ready. Now to cycle these pieces, it's C1 star short. So this time it's the down, and instead of the down, it's this up, which is the star part. Now undo. Alrighty, now that I think should just have that light blue solved. So I'm now going to check, can I get either the green or the pink solved in the same way? Pink to grey to green, that's perfect. That will get that green over to there, and then I'll have two solved which are two apart. That's what I want. So again, I'm going to do C1 star short. Am I going that one there? Alrighty, light blue and green are done. That should mean I now have two next to each other, and look at this, the grey is going to go to there, the orange will come to here, and that pink will go to there. So these last three will solve with another iteration of this. All right, green, grey, pink, blue, orange, all done. Last orbit, I turn it up the other way and I have a look what's there. All the correct pieces will be there. It'll just be a matter of trying to solve them. But I know for a fact that because I've got a swap of two here, I must end up with another swap of two on a different orbit. So it's going to have to be this orbit. So what's going on? The teal is solved. That's the only thing that's solved. I think, yeah. So I'm going to go purple, red, blue. That'll solve the purple, it'll solve the red, it will not solve the blue, and I'll end up with my swap. Alrighty, that's solved, and that's solved, and there we go. There is the swap of the two pieces. So I now have one of two potential situations, and I have to say every single time I've done a solve of this, I have ended up with a double swap of petals. So it's never happened that I haven't got that. So I'm starting to think it's unavoidable. I don't know why it should be unavoidable. Maybe it's just bad luck, but in any event, as I mentioned earlier, you can have a double swap on the corresponding orbits, or you can have a double swap on sort of opposite orbits, if you like. And that's what we've got here. So what we're going to do here is get the two pieces that are in this lower layer solved. So with this technique where they're on sort of opposite orbits, I'm going to get the two lower layer pieces solved, and then I'm going to be left with a bunch of pieces up here on the upper layer, and I'll deal with them. So how am I going to get these two solved? Well, what I'm going to do is bring one of them up to the top layer, put it in a correct position, and then move it back down to its solved position. And what that will do was knock out the other one, which I can then move that around and solve that. So how do I move a piece from the lower layer to the upper layer? Well, this piece is in the front down right position. If I want to move something from the down right position, I need to be using C1 short mirror. And I'm going to hold that on the left face. So I hold that on the left face. Now I don't care two hoots what comes down to replace it, because eventually these two are going to be solved and all the other stuff will be up the top where it needs to be. So I hold that on the left face and I carry out a C1 short mirror. Still difficult sometimes to know where to hold this puzzle. Okay, so that pink piece, which was here, is now up on the top somewhere. There it is. And I've got to put that pink piece into this position. So I'm going to do that same move, but I've got to think, well, if this is the left position, what goes to that left position? And the piece that goes to the left position comes from back left. So if this is left, its piece that goes down there has to be in that position, on the back left. Currently, it's on the front. So I've got to find a way to cycle this piece around to there. Now, how do I cycle pieces to remain in the same sort of up left position? Well, I'm going to use a star move, C1 star short or C1 star short mirror. So let's have a look what I can do. If I use C1 star short mirror, that cycles pieces in the up left position. So that's the one I need, and it moves back left to right. Let's have a look. If this is right, it'll go to back left. Is that where I want it? No, I want it here. So holding it in the right position is no good. What if I hold it in the back left position? What happens there? Back left to right. Well, that's no good, but I notice that if I reverse it, it will come to where I need it. The other option is that it's in the left position, but if I hold it in the left position, it's going to go to here. Okay, so that tells me this is the option that I need. Back left to right, but I need to reverse it so that the pink piece, instead of coming here, goes to that position. And remember, that is the position that I need it to be before I place it in here. Okay, so that's the setup, and I need to do a C1 star short mirror, but reversed. Okay, so if it's a C1 star short mirror, the A move is taking place over here. So I'll do the A move first. Now, the C1 star, which means that goes upwards. Now undo the A move. And undo these moves. Okay, let's see what's going on now. I need the pink to place here, and using this routine, if a piece is in the upper left position on the back left face, it will cycle to the down right position on the left face. So this is perfect. This is exactly where I need it. So that's my setup. And to make that happen, I need to use C1 short mirror. So C1 short mirror, I start from here. Now the A turn. And now undoing. And what we should find now is that that pink piece has been solved. Remember also that there was a light blue piece sitting in there, and that will now be up the top somewhere. There it is. Now I've got to grab the light blue piece and place it into here to solve that position. Well, let's have a think. The light blue, in the same way, that's going to be on the left face, so I need the light blue to be here. It's currently here. I'm pretty sure now I can cycle back left to right with a C1 star short mirror. So that back left will go to that position, which is precisely where I need it. Okay, so that's set up. C1 star short mirror. All done. Just put that back in. Now, I haven't yet solved this, but that light blue piece is in the correct position to now be doing the solving. Back left, going to left, down right, going to right. So that's how I hold the thing. And in order to cycle this light blue down to that layer, I need a C1 short mirror without the star. Now, what we should find is that on the lower layer, all pieces are now solved. They are, that's fantastic. What does that leave us? Pieces on the upper layer, which now will be in 3 cycle and can be solved. But you'll notice that I've got pieces on both parts. It's unavoidable. So I'm going to have to use a combination of the C1 move and the C1, let's have a think, the C1 star short. That's going to be the 2 moves I think I need. So I would initially just look at things and go, well, what's going to make sense to try and solve something? If I hold it like this, I know that that red piece, that's on the right face, that will travel to the back left face and solve. Now this is, of course, using a C1. I've got the back left, up left position, going to the front up right position, and that will go to here. So yes, it will solve the red, but what's going to happen is I'm going to knock out a solved piece here, which is not ideal. So I'll try and look for something else. What happens if I just turn it around and have another look? Well, that's going to unsolve that. That's not really any good. That yellow, go to there, that, not ideal. The red, again, none of that is ideal, and nothing there. So trying a C1 initially doesn't look too promising. What I would then do is have a look at a C1 mirror and see if that gets me any more joy. So now I'm looking at pieces in the upright position. Well, that's solved and that's solved. What do I have? That blue is next to there. That's going to go across to, let's have a look, that yellow will go to here. That'll go to there. That's no good. That's no good. That's solved, so that's not really ideal. Okay, nothing there seems good. So what am I left with? Well, I'm going to try and cycle some of the pieces home initially. And I'll do that using a C1 star. Well, depends which ones I'm cycling. For example, let's have a look. I've got the yellow. If I use a C1 star short mirror, I'm going to have a yellow going to the red going to this blue, and the blue going to the yellow. Well, that will solve me the yellow and the red. That's as good as anything I've seen so far. So that is the one that I'm going to do. So C1 star short mirror. Okay, let's see what's remaining here. All of that is solved. All of that is solved. Got one piece here, and 2 pieces here. And you'll notice, as I said, that they're in 2 swaps. So the blue and the yellow need to swap, and the purple and the blue need to swap. Let's try something else. What would happen if I did, now that blue and the yellow, let's try it like this. Yellow going to blue. And that'll solve the yellow. It will leave the blue out. So initially that doesn't seem overly good. What about this option? Blue going to there. I am going to end up with a raised piece here, I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's any way around it. What I'm looking at is, if I tried this again, I would have the blue piece solved. That would be unsolved. So the back left would come to here and be unsolved and flat. This blue piece would go to there and would solve, and the purple would go to there. I think I'm just going to have to do something like this, and it's not going to increase the number of pieces that are solved, but it is going to get me in a position, I think, where I'm going to be able to carry out a C1. let's just give this one a go. So C1 star short mirror again. Okay, that, as I said, is solved. Have I increased the number of pieces that are unsolved? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I haven't. I've just got them in different positions. I think I'm going to have to resort now to a C1 of some kind, because I'm just going to keep going around in circles here. So with a C1, I know that the piece movement is back left, up left, to front up right, to right up left. So for example, what would happen if I said that was the back left? That's going to there. That one goes to there and they both raise. That one goes to the, whoops, that one goes to the back. Initially doesn't seem perfectly ideal. What if I try that one? Back left goes to front up right, goes to right up left. Okay, let's try the other way. That's going to go to there, that will go to there. Okay, I don't think there's any way around doing this as well, so I'm going to do a back left to a front up right to a right up left first of all. And yes, this is just another very tricky part of this solve. It will come together, it will end up being solved, but this is one of those things that requires quite a bit of, I'm not going to say trial and error, but thought and just pondering what you need to put where. So I will do that. So that's just going to be a C1, so an ordinary C1 to begin with. Okay, now of course I've raised pieces now, I understand that. Now the thing about it is, I know ultimately that what I really would like is 2 sets of petals that are solved completely. So I already have one face where there's a solved set of petals. I'd either like to get this face completely solved or this face completely solved. So remember, I want the 2 faces to be 2 apart. So at the moment, it seems to me logical to try and get this yellow solved. So I've got to find a way, if I can, to get that yellow piece across to here and make it solved, or to get the purple piece sitting in here, whichever one is easier. Now I notice that the purple is raised, and if it's next to another face it should flatten. So I've got to think, which one is this? I think this is going to be potentially, I can never remember, C1 will take back left, up left to front up right. So I think I need C1 mirror, which is going to take back right. And if that's back right, it's going over here, so that's no good. What about if this is right? It's going to end up going, so back left to front. Normally it's front to right. I think this might be the go. So back left, the only problem is it's going to involve that back left piece. To front up right. In fact, it's going to be the front up left. So let's now think of the normal C1. That's in the front up right position. What I'm really trying to solve is that one. I think what I've got to do is get this piece flattened over there. Once it's flattened, it's 2 away from here and I can solve it. I think that's the go. So in order to flatten this piece, it's just going to be a C1. It's going to be the back left, up left, to the front up right, to this thing here. So I'll do a normal C1 to make that happen. And now that purple piece is flattened, I would like to move that from that up left position to this up left position. Now, can I do that? That's in the up left position, so it's going to be a C1 to cycle pieces. It's going to be a C1 star short mirror. So back left to right. I could reverse this. What happens if I do this? Back left, no, to left to right, back left to right. Well, I think, yep, I could reverse that and get that purple piece over there. So instead of going back left to right, I'm going to go right to back left like so. Let us see what that does, because that'll at least get that face solved and that face solved, and that might give us some more joy. Back left to right. It's reversed, and so it is a C1 star short mirror reversed. I've got to do the A move first. Got to remember that it's short and that it's a star. Undo and undo. Okay, that face is completely solved. That face is completely solved. You'll notice the Sqedges there are also solved. That is completely accidental. I mean, there's no reason they should be. Now, where does that leave us? That, I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 1, 2, 3 pieces here. This is looking far better because you can see that I've got the situation here where I've got a front upright piece that is raised that needs to flatten, and it'll flatten if it goes over here. I've also got, and normally I would be wanting a piece over here to be, let's say, in fact, a yellow, and I'd want it to be raised. I'm going to have to do something because this is the other piece that is involved. Let's have a think. I've got 2 pieces on the upright position and 1 in the up left. So that tells me, firstly, I'm going to have to use a C1 mirror to deal with this. So the C1 mirror is going to be back right to front to left. So let's just think firstly about back right to front is 2 apart. Let's say this is back right. That's not going to work. Back right to front to left. That's going to have to be the front. Yep, that piece is going to go to there at the moment. That piece is going to go to there. That's going to come to here. Now, this one at the moment would raise up when it lands to that position. This one is going to flatten to there. This one's going to flatten. What you hopefully be thinking is I need to do a reverse here somehow. That one will go to here and flatten and therefore solve. If I can put this yellow piece into that position, I will then have the 3 pieces exactly where I need them. So that is what I need to do now, is to firstly get that yellow piece over to this upright position. So I need to move it 2 positions around. Okay, so I'm cycling, so I've got to be using a star move. And because it's in the upright position, it's going to be C1 star short. What is my movement? Back right to left. I also don't want to involve that face. I want to end it up here. Back right to left. Well, I could just reverse that. How about, is there any other way? What if that's back right Nope, I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to reverse it. So back right to left temporarily, but I'm reversing it to get this yellow piece to that position. Wow, this is full on. Okay, so let's do a reverse of a C1 star short. And that being the case, I've got to do the A move first. C1 star short, well, the short means that's happening, and sorry, the star means that's happening, and that's the short. Alrighty, you'll see now that I have a yellow piece sitting over here where I wanted it. I still have those blues where I need them. So now I'm looking at a C1 mirror. What's a C1 mirror do? Back right to front. Now it goes back right, upright position, to front, up left position, to left, upright position. And clearly, at this point, I could do two moves here. I could go yellow to here, which would raise the yellow, the blue to here, which would flatten the blue, and this blue over to here, which would keep it raised. On the next time I did it, I would find that all three of those would flatten. So probably easier to just do a reverse of a C1 mirror. So if I reverse a C1 mirror, normally I'm going down, down, up, up, and I'd be doing the A move over here. I'm going to reverse it, so I'm going to do that A move first. Okay, now the mirror turn, so it's down, down, up, up. Now I'm going to undo that A move and undo the mirror turn. And what you'll notice has happened is that the yellow and the blue pieces that were there have now all flattened. You might be thinking, yeah, but that blue isn't solved. I know, but what I've got now is a situation where I have a final 3 cycle where they're all flat, and that means I can cycle these home. So now I've got a back right to a right to a left. Well, that is a C1 star short. That will cycle a back right to a right position to a left position and finally get these things solved. So C1 star short. Okay, and you can look around and observe that all of these petals are now solved. Now that is absolutely the hardest, I think, that I've ever encountered of the swaps of petals. The easier case, which I was going to show, but I don't think I will, I'm just going to explain it here, is when you have 2 swaps that are on the same or corresponding orbits, so say a swap here and a swap here, you do what I did initially, and you bring one of these up, move it around and put it in position, bring the other one up, move it around and put it in position, and all that will happen then is you'll be left in a scenario like I just had, with flat pieces that just need to cycle home. So far, far easier than that. I guess in a sense I'm glad this one happened, because it does show the most tricky scenario that you will get. All right, and that now leads us to the final stage of this solve, which is thankfully a quick and simple stage. And that is to deal with the Sqedges. Now we could find some Sqedges are flipped. We do have some flipped Sqedges here. We could also need some cycling. And there are 2 fairly simple routines to deal with that. One of them's a bit long, but it's still simple. Let's have a look what we've got here. I've got the purple pink solved in position. I've got this yellow grey flipped in position. Of course, they're all flattened because we did that earlier. I've also got this blue teal, which if you notice is flipped. So the teal should be up here, but it's down on the bottom. So I've got 2 flipped pieces. The the dark blue-green is correctly oriented, the red-orange is correctly oriented. So I've got 3 that are oriented correctly and 2 flipped. And the other thing to note is that because this is in position, I have a 3 cycle, red-orange to light blue-teal to blue-green. Fine. What I need to do first is flip the 2 pieces. So that's one of them, that's the other one. Now to flip the 2 pieces, and I did show this in the algorithm section, I'm going to use C10, which sounds like madness, but it is incredible because it pure flips just 2 Sqedges, nothing else is touched. And all we need to remember is that the pieces that I want to be flipped need to be in the back, left, and the right position. So if I hold it like this, that's in the right position, that's not back left. So let's turn it so that that's in the right position. Now that one is in the back left position. So this is the holding position I need to start with. And what I want to do now is C10. So that's 10 M moves, followed by an A move, and then undo. I'll do this as quickly as is humanly possible without being silly about it. Just the alignment here sometimes very, very sensitive. That's 3 of them. You can see the familiar position there, and the corners and the centers have come back. Let's continue. Okay, I'll stop here for a little break. That's 5 of them. The corners and centers are out, but you'll notice that all of the petals have returned to position. And that's kind of happening because they're in 5 cycle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So very interesting about the cycles going on here. So you can sort of understand maybe why if I do 2 5 cycles, that will lead to something useful. I've done 5 of them, let's continue. There's 6, those corners have come back. Go the other way. Now, where am I going? And here comes, just trying to get all these bits together, comes, I think, the 9th maybe? Yep, that looks like the 9th, and so I should have 1 more to go here. Alrighty, there's 10 of them. Let's have a look over here. You'll notice that that yellow-grey used to be flipped. That is now oriented correctly. And you'll also notice nothing else has been touched here, which means that I can now grab, by doing the A move, I can grab the other piece that needs to be flipped and put it in that same position, which is that light blue teal, and now just undo everything. So undo these 10 M moves. And just for these, I never ever bother counting how many I've done because it is abundantly clear when you've done 10 of them. Just having a little bit of trouble keeping everything aligned. Right, well, I'm guessing that will be 3 to go. I reckon I've done 7 of them now, just judging from the position of that kite and also the corners. Oh, coming back very nicely. And as I said, you will know when it's completed. And now we just undo the A move. Oh, as I said, not tricky, just long. So there's the yellow grey that's been flipped. And here's the other one that's been flipped, the teal light blue. You can see that is now correctly oriented. Fantastic. So what that now means is that I need to cycle home the other pieces. In this situation, I've got 2 here, which are solved together. And I've got the other 3 in a 3 cycle next to each other, which is not really what I want. I want to have, as you might guess, the 2 solved ones 2 apart. So what I'm going to use to cycle pieces, and I'm going to have to do 2 cycles here to solve the whole thing, is 𝙍𝙬𝙗. Now 𝙍𝙬 is something that I haven't used yet at all. And I did come up with 30 algorithms for this initially. And one of the ones that I'm not using is C5. So you might like to try C5, which is obviously only half as long as C10. That will cycle Sqedges. And that's what I was using before I found this 𝙍𝙬. 𝙍𝙬 just does it lots quicker. So 𝙍𝙬, I'm going to hold the puzzle like this again, not like this. So for a normal A type move. And I'm going to be cycling Sqedges from left to back right. So I'm just going to hold it like this and see what would happen if I did this. That left goes to there, that becomes unsolved to there, that blue-green comes to here. Well, that still gives me 2 next to each other. So I'll try a different one. Left to back right. That unsolves all of them. Try a different one. Left to there, that solves. That goes to there and unsolves that one, and that comes to here. Oh, that's the one I want. The blue, green will be solved, and this purple, pink will be solved. So left to back right. So this is the position I want to hold the puzzle. And I now want to do the 𝙍𝙬. Here's the 𝙍𝙬. I'll do an A move. I then, for the first time, do another A move down the bottom. So I just turn that one around until it's lined up, put that on and return it, and then undo. Still got to watch that I don't injure myself here. I've got bits sticking out everywhere. And there we go. And you'll see now that one is solved and that one is solved. And that leaves 3 other pieces in a 3 cycle in the position that I want them. So you remember left, back and back right were the ones that I needed to deal with. Now, if I go left to back, it's not going to solve the red orange. So I've got, again, 2 options. I can run this sequence twice, or I can simply do it reversed. If I reverse it, the left will go to here and solve. This back right piece will go to here and solve, and the yellow grey will come to the front and solve. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll reverse my 𝙍𝙬 move. And reversing it simply means carrying out the bottom set of A moves first. Is that done? Now the top one. And then undo that bottom one. Just being especially ginger here because I don't want anything to go wrong on this final set of moves. And now undo the top one. Hang on, did I undo all of that bottom one? No, I did something. What do I need to do here? I think I've actually done that and not turned this back. That's better. Undo the top one. Oh, and you'll see that has successfully cycled those pieces home. Wow, well, that is 𝙍𝙀𝙗's Fang-10, and I don't know what to call this, a tutorial or a walkthrough solve, whatever it is. It's a bit of a massive mammoth video for a monster of a puzzle. I did say at the start this was a super challenging puzzle, and I hope you can now see why. I hope I have done a reasonable job at explaining things clearly. If you have watched the whole thing, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Thanks so much. Well, there's the Fang-10. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for watching.